Mr. President, you campaigned on hope and change. What do you say to people who are still unemployed and you're asking them to hold on? What do you tell them to keep that hope alive?
I guess what I'd say to folks is we've traveled a long way over these last 2.5 years. We were on the verge of going into a Great Depression. I mean, the auto example was just one example of what could have happened in the financial sector, what could have happened in a whole bunch of areas. That obviously doesn't make you feel better if you don't have a job right now. And so to those who are still unemployed, my main message to them is every day I get up and ask myself, what more can I be doing to give them a shot? What else do I have within my power to make sure that jobs are being created, businesses are succeeding, small businesses are succeeding, and people are able to live out the American dream. So what they should know is they've got a president who's on their side, and that we are taking every step possible to recover from a severe body blow that took place 2.5 years ago. But we're resilient people, we're a strong people. We've been through tougher times before. We're going to get through this, and I'm confident that by next year we'll look back and we will have continued to make progress, just like we've made progress over the last 2 years.
I'm from Cleveland, home of NASA Glenn Research Center. With the space shuttle program cutting back now or ending after this next flight, what do you tell people at Glenn Research Center? Will there be a need for the NASA Glenn Research Center in Cleveland? And can they count on the White House standing behind NASA staying in Cleveland?
Well, I believe in the space program. Look, I'm turning 50 in about a month and a half, but that means that I grew up being inspired by Apollo and the moon landing. And so the key, even though the space shuttle is phasing out, is what's that next big leap? And that's going to require research. That's exactly part of our plan, is to make sure that we're researching, new fuel, new mechanisms to allow for long-term space flight. There's some additional technological leaps that we have to make, because basically we're using the same technologies that we were using back in the 60s in a lot of cases. And that's why a research facility of NASA's is going to continue to be critical, because we want to find what are those next technological leaps that will take us not just to the moon, but take us to Mars and beyond.
Now that bin Laden is dead, will you accelerate the pullout of troops from Afghanistan?
Well, what I've said is that this summer is going to be a summer of transition. We're not going to do anything precipitous, but what I've already said to the American public and what I've said to the Afghan people is that it's time for the Afghans now to take responsibility for their own security. We are training their security forces up. That transition will take place over the next couple of years. But by killing bin Laden, by blunting the momentum of the Taliban, we have now accomplished a lot of what we set out to accomplish 10 years ago. And it's important that we now provide Afghans the ability for them to start providing security for their own country. So we will begin a transition this summer, and I'll be making an announcement soon in terms of the pace of that reduction of U.S. troops, but we're going to be bringing some of our troops home.
If I could ask you a little bit about urban education. We in Cleveland are dealing with the problems many other cities are dealing with when it comes to urban education. You want a workforce ready to take these new jobs when these new jobs come along. What are your thoughts about cities like Cleveland where the dropout rate is at 50% or thereabouts?
Well, we now know what works. We know that having an excellent teachers, that makes a bigger difference than just about anything else. We know that in some cases charter schools have done a great job in redesigning curriculum and how kids spend their time in school, and creating a compact between the community and the school, parents, teachers, and the young people themselves. So there are a whole series of steps that can be taken. This program we've called Race to the Top has incentivized over 40 states now to make significant reforms in their school system. So what we want to do is to continue to encourage best practices in urban schools. But I was just at a commencement in Memphis high school just a while back where they had almost doubled their graduation rate just because they had a principal that was dedicated, teachers that were dedicated, they had started doing things in a different way, and a community that's dedicated. So everybody's got to pull together on this. And the one thing I never do is to let parents off the hook in terms of encouraging their students to learn. I mean, some of this is an issue of money, some of this is an issue of fixing school bureaucracies and making sure that our teachers are inspired and they're getting the help that they need. But some of this is parents saying to students, there's nothing more important than you getting your education. And we're going to do whatever it requires. You know, we're going to turn off the TV set. You're going to have a quiet place to do your homework. There are going to be curfews on you and how late you can stay up so that you're well rested for school. Some of those core responsibilities of parents continue to be vital in terms of making sure that our young people can succeed, especially in an urban environment.
Mr. President, thank you very much for meeting with me today.
I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
I enjoyed it too. Thank you, sir.
Thanks. All good?